We gotta be on camera. It's gotta be on camera. Only the best.
What are you talking about? Okay, fine.
I like it, man.
Only the best. Only the best.
I really want to thank everybody that came out tonight because this is a Friday evening event. It really, really means a lot to me to be able to have you guys in this room because we need energy. We're recording this and we want to make a story out of this.
I'm a story myself.
There you go. Hey, well, everybody's a storyteller, they just don't know how to tell it. But we're going to put together a really, really good recap of this thing. We have two more events to do, Tuesday and Wednesday. And I want to get as many sound bites, as many people who have real concerns, issues, hope, anything that they can give us. We need to get that on our recording. So I'm going to ask everybody that's still with me to tell us why you came today. I don't want to call people out, so if somebody feels comfortable, I'm going to ask you to stand up, don't just sit down, and tell us why you came. But not right now, we don't have the cameras rolling. We got to get the cameras rolling.
Good form.
But is there anybody here who's a filmmaker or a storyteller that really knows what they want to tell? Okay? Okay? What story do you want to tell the most? I'll ask that question before we get the cameras going. Growing up where?
Growing up black and dirty in a world that doesn't really think you're supposed to be a nerd because you're black.
Okay. So, hey, camera crew, we're going to try and see if we can get the people as they tell us what they really feel and how they feel right now is the only thing I care about. So, Michelle, can we get you to, we're trying to get a little bit closer. We want everybody to get a little closer together. Everybody's got deodorant on, right? Huh?
I think it's belongs to somebody.
Oh, just, if they come for it. Is there anybody that's still out there? Yeah, so is there anybody that has any questions, suggestions, or comments before the cameras start rolling? I'd like to really get something that doesn't have you recorded. So is anybody have any questions, suggestions, or comments right now? Okay, everybody's gonna go quiet for me, okay. So let me tell you a little bit about why I decided to do this. This was an opportunity for me to get these guys. Some of them are one's 17, one's 18, and the other one's 20. We have a whole group of folks who want to be in the entertainment industry. They want to be storytellers, but I'm going to start them off as producers, not as production assistants. As people who are really going to learn by doing, learning mistakes, and we've made a lot of them trying to put this event together. So what I'm really interested in is trying to make sure that we all get on camera to show ourselves working together, and learning each other's personalities, each other's traits. But I want them to really know a little bit more about you guys. Each time we do this, I want them to interact with you guys. So we've been doing some interviews back there. I don't know if anybody has been back there, but we're trying to get interviews, sound bites from you. So before you leave, if you want something to be said, heart to heart, we want to be able to get you on camera and get your sound bites with good audio. So that's one of the things I wanted to say. The second thing is that we're going to talk about something that's really very important in today's social political climate. We have a big election coming up this November, and we're going to be talking about this thing called race. It's not a thing that, I have ever really had a conversation with people in an open forum like this before. But that's what the organizers, they want me to mention, that this is a geographical and racial forum. And I believe that there's more things that keep us together than apart. But I definitely want to make sure that everybody gets their piece to talk about that word race. So I'm going to ask camera guys, our cameras. I got mine, but so we're getting ready to start. So we want to be able to get as many faces and sounds as we can. So I want to be able to make sure I give everybody a chance to talk, because I don't want to call people out. So starting with Michelle over here. Michelle, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and when I say the word race, what do you say?
When you say the word what?
Race. What does it mean? I mean, just off the top of your head, what does race mean?
All right. When you say race, I just think, difference. Just, it's sad because I don't even think of in terms of race anymore. And that might just be me. I just look at people like people. You know what I mean? This person does this person does that, this person knows this person knows that. But I will say this, and I do want to get this on camera. Is this me? Right on. Black and brown people, do not allow anybody to tell you you don't need a college degree. Do not do that. All the work experience you can get, unfortunately, now right now, we're going through it. We're going through pivoting, changing, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you don't need a degree because nobody really knows what degree is needed for where. But then when they go back and they figure it all out, people of color, again, will be the ones left out if they don't have a degree. So, please, you don't listen to anything I say. Listen to that. Do not bypass a degree thinking you can do it without it. Because right now, when you're 17, 18, 19, 20, but what about when you get 30, 35, 40? You don't have a degree. And now you're old without a degree, right? So don't do yourself like that. Don't get old and not have a degree. Too young. There it is. And now, that's what I think about race.
Okay, amen.
Hey.
Okay. Okay, I want to get really real. So, Sterlina, you've been very vocal about your story. When I say race, what does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me when you say race? What do I have to think about? It's the first thing that comes to my mind, or just what my general
First thing, yeah, off the top, off the dome.
Is my experience, of course. I try to draw from my experiences of race. I grew up in a very racially diverse neighborhood in Koreatown. A lot of people would ask me, "You're in Koreatown, so you live with a lot of Koreans," but that's not true. It is actually very densely populated with Latinos. And then further south, there's a more Black and African American demographic, but I grew up with every race. To me, I always thought that there wasn't much separating me between someone of a different skin color, because in the neighborhood where I grew up in, we all kind of shared similar experiences. So I'm Latina, my friends were Black, I had Asian friends, I had very few white friends, not a lot of white people in Koreatown, but I always tried to learn something from every single racial culture. I remember trying to learn how to speak Korean because I grew up in a Korean environment. I remember just trying my best to understand the perspective of everyone from all races. So when you say race, the first thing that comes to my mind is understanding. How can I understand what this person has gone through, especially as it relates to their experience with race. So I always try to understand. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm not going to call on anybody else. I'm going to give the mic back to Jay, and then we're going to start thinking about how to fill out these forms. Now, the link was broke at one point, but I think it works now. So is there anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, these surveys?
There's something wrong. It's like, there's like a number, but there's no question.
Okay, can you try it again? I think we had some problems. I think we got it fixed. Can you try it right now?
Again?
Yes, please.
It's the third time, right? This will be the third time.
Okay. Let us know, yeah, because we need the feedback. If it's broke, we need to know. It's still broke? Okay. So we got to make that happen. We got to make that.
Is it the same survey that was outside? The thing, or is this a different survey?
Same survey.
Same survey? Oh, okay.
Okay. So if at all possible, if the link is broken for you and you have not been able to fill it out, please, before you leave, we need you to fill it out on paper. Name and just fill it out on paper. This is exactly why this event is happening, is to get your feedback and to know who you are. So again, if the link is broken for you, you didn't get a chance to submit, use that paper.
A few of my roommates, we had issues trying to fit.
Is there a mic?
Yes. Earlier, a few of my roommates, we had issues filling out a survey. We couldn't submit, and it doesn't really lower anything, but it took a few times, and they finally submitted the data.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for keep trying. Appreciate it. Okay, so I think Jay's going to come back on, and I'm going to see if we can have Jay lead us through this survey, because this is what I want to be able to find as the real thing that you guys can do to help us understand who you are, what your unmet needs are. Anything you can share that will help us get more data, live data about who you are. I'm hoping that's what we're able to do, and again, have some realness about it. So, Jay, if you can.
Gentlemen, stay here because I'm not quite clear on what you want to do next.
Okay.
Can you please just describe that to the group?
Yeah, so what I want everybody to do, who has not filled out the survey completely?
Show of hands, please.
Right, so 1, 2, just 2? Okay, so if it's possible for you guys to go back and get one of the paper forms so that we can fill that out and have that completed before we leave. So Jay, what I wanted to do is to have a session with Sergio, one of our staff, and 2 young ladies who are kind of dualists. That means they have a perspective on race that I'd like to know a little bit more about. Afro-Latinas. And Sergio is a young man who I think will help to connect with what I think people will be not only surprised about, but again, how people can live in different rooms in different worlds. And how people have probably been very immersed in a mesh of cultures. So I want to see how much commonality we have, as opposed to how race maybe sounds to people as something that's more of a segment, more of a division, and see if we can actually synthesize again, what is race to us? So without further ado, Jay, I'm going to have these 2 ladies come up and have them talk about what it means to be an Afro-Latina. And I'll have them introduce themselves. Round of applause. Thanks.
I'm a rebel, so I don't need a microphone.
Oh, no, you do. So Jay, she's going to introduce herself, but I'd love to have you listen and be able to break down anything that could help us contextualize what can we do leaving this room about how we can share our experiences. And again, hopefully we'll have a better perspective on what race could be other than what we knew how to, explain before we got here. So without further ado, I want to introduce Lisa.
Good evening, everyone. I want to start by saying the opportunity of a lifetime lasts the lifetime of the opportunity. That's what I would end up with telling you. Our family was born and raised in Spanish Harlem. My parents are from the island of Puerto Rico, but we are a rainbow of people. We are the African slave, we are the Taino Indian, we are the white Spaniard, we are the mixture. When I walk into a room and I'm not used to standing in front of a podium, I present as a black woman. People don't know that I'm Puerto Rican until I open my mouth and I tell them that. For me, it's a superpower because of the fact I love my black people. I'm a black woman that was taken from the gate of Quito, dropped off in Dutch Curacao, and from Dutch Curacao from St. Thomas, and from St. Thomas to Puerto Rico. And race is a thing that is very nerve-wracking. It makes you ponder. Do you have a movable mic so that I can have a mic that's moving? I can turn this one off. And so the power of talking about race and ethnicity, I had to learn it working via hospice. So my journey began 40 years ago working in health equity. When African Americans, Latinos, Pacific Islanders, Tongan, Samoan, Armenian, Chinese, Cambodians will come into the community, they weren't given the best health care, and there was no one there to advocate for them. There was no one to be able to find out if there was an AT&T translator. If an African American woman walks into a hospital and she's having a sickle cell issue, there was no one to be able to articulate the level of pain that she was at. There was no one there to advocate. If a grandmother was being discharged from a hospital because she had a PTINR, that means that her blood glucose level wasn't balanced. They were going to discharge her out of the hospital without addressing her needs, and then they would send her home, right? And if she fell, she could bleed internally. And so there needed to be someone to speak to the cardiologist or the doctor or whoever it was to say, we need to revoke this discharge because this patient hasn't had the correct care. The capacity of being able to be black and Latin, I was able to move into a world in the community, in the African American community, and say to my colleagues, you don't address a woman that's 60 years old by calling her by her first name. It's Miss Jane. You don't say to a Hispanic woman, you look to see who the matriarch or the patriarch, the abuelita or the abuelo, right, or the tia or the titi, so that you can address them correctly. Because we're very afraid of culture, we're very afraid of equity, we're very afraid of talking about race, and it's a pink elephant in the room when you want to address it. Because if it's your mother or father that's in that bed, you don't care what color the person is. You want their pain level to be addressed. Is that not correct? That's right. So the reason why we're so afraid of race and culture is because there's a lot of pain wrapped around it. Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, that's right.
There's a whole lot of pain. And so when you look at the Southern culture, there's a whole lot of things that went down in the South that we're dealing with today in 2024. And so when we talk about race and culture, what is race? Physical attributes. If he wouldn't have announced me as a Afro-Latina, would you know I was Afro-Latina? Well, you cheated, so you know. I have another Afro-Latino behind me. But my father is chocolate. My mother looks like she's white. And so when we move through Creole culture, African culture, Hispanic culture, Southern culture, or when our children are raised in the North, we never talk about race or ethnicity. Because it makes people very, very nervous. But when I had to work in hospice, right, and I had to address all Mormon community, Greek Coptic Orthodox community, Jewish community, at that point, when you are dying, you don't care who's giving you a cup of water. So you learn really quick, right, to be able to address the audience. And so what we have to do is we have to create a safe space like my Native American brothers and sisters and have a listening session to be able to understand and engage how we do that. And so what I learned is you come into the room with great respect for the matriarch or the patriarch that's in that room.